Every man out there wants to be alpha, and every man wants to be the guy who gets first pick when it comes to resources and when it comes to mating opportunities. And as men, we tend to be quite competitive, so it doesn't feel very good when we're with our buddy, we meet up with two girls, and we're the one who ends up getting second choice. That's kind of harsh, but I've been in that situation many times, and it was simply because I hadn't mastered this one trait. And you will never be alpha until you master this simple trait. So with that said, let's get right into it. Now think about the last time that you saw a grown man freaking out, screaming, and yelling in public. And while watching this unfold, you probably felt something inside of you that seemed off about the man. There was a guy that I met for a brief period of time while I was growing up, and he was always talking about how tough he is, and he was always trying to make everybody else think that he's the toughest guy around. But then one day, let's just say that he ran into the wrong group of guys on a beach, and when we met back up with him shortly after, I had never seen a guy cry so loudly in my entire life. And once his barrier was broken down, it was like a dam breaking, and behind the dam was not billions of gallons of water, but emotions. Now, the number one trait that an alpha has mastered is indifference, and indifference in its simplest form is the ability to not become overly emotional. Many of the greatest male actors of all time are loved by women and they are idolized by men simply because they have mastered the ability to remain indifferent in any situation. Whether it's James Bond's ability to stay cool while being chased by several armed men on motorcycles, or the way that Thanos is able to remain calm while the snap of his fingers destroys half the people in the universe. Most of us did not want Thanos to win in the end, yet at the same time, we also secretly admired that special something about him. But maybe we didn't quite know what that thing was. The thing that made Thanos and other characters like him admirable in terms of their behavior was the way that they remained indifferent to what was going on around them, or the way that they were able to keep a tight leash on their emotions so that even when the odds were completely stacked against them, they always seemed to find a way. Many men today are quick to become emotional or quick to lose it and become overly reactive. So when dealing with a crazy person on the highway who is engaging in road rage, the compulsive response of a man who has not mastered this trait is to become emotional and to become overly aggressive. And since the odds are pretty high that the man who started the road rage is also going to react in a similar way, what you end up with is two men becoming extremely emotional, and the situation tends to end poorly for everybody involved. Now, the thing that makes women go absolutely crazy for guys like Bond is the ability to remain indifferent, or the ability to be non-reactive, or the ability to control your emotions. Real alpha males have a cool, calm, and collected vibe about them, and it is this indifference that makes girls attracted to them. And this is the aspect of these men that most guys wish they could have or wish they could be more like. Imagine you're with a girl and she says something that triggers you. How quick are you to get triggered and become defensive? How easily is a girl, or even a guy for that matter, able to stir up your emotions? Now, some guys are naturally more emotional than others, so they are already starting at a disadvantage in comparison to a natural alpha male. But as humans, the thing that makes us so great is that we are pliable, meaning we can exercise great power and control over our emotions and over our behavior in order to become better. Now, one of the fastest ways to tell the difference between a man who others view as alpha and a man who others do not view as alpha is to simply pay attention to his behavior. Ask yourself this: are you easily triggered? And if you are, what do you do when you're triggered? The last thing that a true alpha male would do when he is triggered is lose all control of his emotions and begin to shout and begin to become aggressive. If you've ever seen those public freakout videos on YouTube, notice how it's always the person who is completely losing it and completely freaking out who everybody feels the urge to laugh at. Now, even if this person was actually the good guy or the person who didn't start any of the problems, they still end up becoming the person that everybody is laughing at, including you, simply because they became too emotional and they lost all control. Now, if your goal is to be a little bit more alpha in your day-to-day life, focus on mastering your emotions. Focus on lowering your emotional threshold so that it takes a lot more for you to feel triggered than most guys. And in situations where you do get angry and where you do get upset, always do your best to keep your cool. Don't be the guy who starts freaking out and screaming at everybody because his coffee wasn't made the way that he wanted it. It's important to understand that most things that we tend to think are huge problems in life are really just trivial matters, and they don't deserve an emotional outburst. Alpha males are respected by men and they are chased by women because they have mastered the trait of indifference. So by focusing on staying calm, cool, and collected, even if every part of you wants to freak out and start yelling, simply remaining indifferent when you are feeling triggered and when you are angry will put you on your way to mastering one of the most important traits of the alpha male. And you will never be alpha until you have mastered this trait. And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.